This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
It's really funny that today's episode is going to pick up kind of right where we left off, talking about roster and everything like that with Grand Rapids, with this call up today that just leaves me scratching my head at this point in time.
Which call up?
The Sebastian Cossa one.
Oh, I thought you meant the Jan Bednar one.
Well, you know, that too. Like, poor Jan probably got halfway back to Toledo and had to turn right around. Like, I know this is the Walleye episode, but we're going to talk some Griffins here off rip because it does impact the Toledo Walleye too. But as we dive into that, welcome to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm Travis.
And Nick's not joining us tonight. You save his life from a hot dog once. He comes on one show and he says that's good enough. That's the repayment we get for saving his life, or at least I get.
Did you check the elevator?
He might be stuck. That's a good call. We'll have to phone down to the arena and see. Oh man, that better be fixed tomorrow. That's all I gotta say. Anyways, for those that are wondering what we're talking about, check out the last episode. It'll all make sense right off rip, I promise you. But welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast. And as always, our second episode of the week is focused on the Toledo Walleye. It is a 100% Toledo Walleye-based update, but unfortunately, the Red Wings and the Griffins are going to make us talk about them off rip because, as you already know, Sebastian Cossa was called up under emergency conditions to the Detroit Red Wings today while they're out in Colorado, which means Jan Bednar, who was reassigned to Toledo on Monday or Sunday, whatever day that happened at this point. Days are just mush at this point. Jan's got to come back to Grand Rapids per ECHL transactions. That's what's happening. It hasn't been officially announced by the team or anything at the time of this recording, but we can only assume that is what will happen. And the Griffins have a tough matchup to face tomorrow night on Wednesday with Texas Stars coming into town. And if Jan's getting the start, he's got a big test in front of him. Like, this is probably his biggest test that he's faced as a pro so far, because the Texas Stars are red hot. And you throw in I'm driving back to Toledo. Oh, I'm driving back to Grand Rapids, and here we go. Let's dissect this a little. The Cossa call-up, people are saying Talbot might be injured. Like, I've seen some posts about that. So if that is the case, that does make sense. If he's not, this makes no sense, right?
Yes and no, I guess. Like, we were kind of talking about, like, you only get 4 call-ups post-trade deadline, and they used an emergency recall, so somebody's either sick or is hurt on top of Mrazek being hurt to where they can't dress 2 goaltenders. So something's going on, and hopefully we get some clearance maybe after the game tonight. I that's what I'm kind of hoping for, but I don't think he's going to play. But I don't – you would think that if they're recalling him under an emergency basis, somebody can't. That's the only logical answer there. So something's going on.
So here's where I look at it from the irrational fan side of things. Let's say Kossa's not going to play, right? If that's the plan all along, why not call up Jack and have him back up or sit or whatever is going to happen with Cossa? Why not have Jack fill that void? Let Cossa start in this big game for Grand Rapids on Wednesday, and then there's a week off. Like, the Griffins don't play for a week. I know the limited call-ups there, you can't just flip-flop it, but at the same time, if this is a minor injury where Talbot can't go, like, why doesn't Jack? It's not like if Lyon lets in 6, they're going to throw Jack in. Maybe they do, and maybe he does great. Who knows? We haven't seen him play, I feel like, in 3 weeks at this time. But to call Cossa up before this big game just kind of goes along with that trend that we've been talking about, where it's just like, is Detroit doing everything possible to make it really difficult for Grand Rapids to solidify that nice spot in the playoffs where they don't have to do a best of 3? Like, that's what it feels like as a fan, that it's just like, haha, we're just going to take this guy too. Like, Shine's still sitting. He didn't play last night. Kossa's gone now. Watson's still with the team. Elmer's obviously still with the team. That's a lot of big pieces missing from the Grand Rapids Griffins. And then when you look at it and how it impacts the Toledo Walleye, Jan Bednar comes up as they're heading to Florida here. And we just assume with the Griffins being off after Wednesday, Jan will probably get reassigned for the Florida trip. But at the same time, what if he doesn't?
I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that last we like heard and seen, like, and if you are in the Toledo Facebook page, like, everybody seems to think Gage is hurt. They don't really release injuries at this level to a point. I mean, some of them get released and people just know, but ultimately, like, is Ace gonna have to be e-bug all weekend, like a back to back, like, because they also in a corresponding move put Grabko on the 14-day IR, which I'm pretty sure he has to stay on for 14 days, so he can't play. If Gage isn't good to go, he can't go. There's only one other option, unless you sign somebody to a PTO, which I doubt they'll do. I don't know. Like,
it's tough because I grab onto some words that Pat Mickish gave you in postgame on Sunday, where it was in Carter's best interest for Grabko to start that game. You know, you don't want to risk injury and everything going back to back to back. This Florida series is going to be tough. It is going to be a battle. You don't want to see him have to go back to back in this. Like, he can, but you don't want to see that. You obviously want him to split it like they've been doing all season. So,
I think he's going to end up playing back-to-back. Unless, like you said, they play Wednesday in Grand Rapids and Bednar flies to Florida from there on Thursday.
There's direct flights.
Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, and this is probably going to be outdated within the time we finish recording, because that seems to be the trend lately.
That is true.
With news, so who knows?
It's just a head scratcher all around, man.
Well, goaltenders in this organization, none of it makes sense anywhere, so.
It's true. That's true. I mean, like I said, you know.
Or, this is a wild scenario. Just saying. Kosa doesn't come back. Bedsy stays. MSU loses Thursday. Trey goes to Florida.
You just got so many Walleye fans going, I'm
just kidding. We're totally kidding about that.
Yeah, there's no concrete evidence behind that statement whatsoever. We promise. But, you know, like I said, though, this being Bedsy's biggest test probably in his pro career, if Carter has to go back-to-back in Florida, that's going to be the biggest test of his pro career so far, too. So a lot of the young goalie talent getting their biggest tests this week ahead of the postseason. Something that's going to be fun for us to watch and cover. I mean, you won't hear me complain to have to watch Bedsy play in Grand Rapids. I think he's been fantastic while he's been up here. And I think the coaching staff agrees that he's been solid in net. So if he has to jump in against Texas tomorrow, I am very comfortable with that. But when I look big picture of what we're trying to play for here, it's not like, you know, it's not a big game or anything. It's not like it's just another hockey game. It's a huge game. So, yeah.
Guess who's backing up tonight?
Sebastian Kosa?
Sebastian Kosa.
Well, there you go.
So,
well, at least that answers one question.
Like we just said, outdated.
Literally within 10 minutes of recording. That is the life of a podcaster right there. But I don't think he'll start.
Who's their next game?
I don't know. We probably should have looked at that before we started saying things. But
you know, I don't think he will either. But, I mean, it was an emergency recall, so something's wrong with Talbot. Like, I know we've now run on a rant for 10 minutes, but something's clearly wrong with Talbot because he can't back up. And their next game,
if he doesn't start a game.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, if he doesn't start a game, you should have just called up Jack. Like, I'm sorry.
Next game's at home against Ottawa.
We still go back and say Kosa should have started that one game in Ottawa, being closer to home. But, you know, hey, maybe he'll get that shot against Ottawa this week. What day is that?
It's on Thursday.
Oh, boy. As I say, we're going to get a week off from hockey with the Griffins, and our boy's going to end up starting Thursday, and I'll have another game to for sure watch.
I mean, if they want to get him more games, this is an opportunity to do it. I don't know if they're ready to do that or not, but I guess we'll find out.
The plan comes together. The original plan comes together. It always does, right? Anyways, moving on from the goalie talk, because yes, we ranted about that, which will be outdated by the time this posts on Thursday, most likely. So sorry if it's already outdated, but there's our thoughts and takes on what just occurred here. Moving on from that, you said it already, Grabko, put on the 14-day IR. Adrian Beraldo expected to make his season debut this week per Mark Monroe of the Blade. which we talked about on last week's episode. Super exciting to see him jump back into the lineup. And when you think about playing Florida, you want players in the lineup that won't take any crap. And that's exactly what you're going to get when he jumps in.
Well, yeah, and Pat even said, it's Sunday, like they play a pretty big, heavy game, and Beraldo's not shy. So that's a huge plus for the defense to get some size, some grit, as people like to say.
Grit?
So, some grit. Yeah, Dan Campbell would be happy.
He's always happy as long as he's got a coffee in his hand.
But yeah, it's exciting. I think we're a little over a year ago since he got hurt, so it's good to see him, healthy. Hopefully, no setbacks through this week, and he gets to play Friday and Saturday, and they'll get him eligible, and then I'm sure that they're going to give him his 5 games, and then some serious discussions will happen down the road, but we'll see. But I'm just excited that he's going to be in, and couldn't come at a better time.
It really couldn't, especially because the injury bug continues to strike the Walleye. You had Nolan Moyle hurt on Friday night, and he did not play Saturday or Sunday. We don't know what he's hurt with or how long he'll be out for, but that's a loss that you really didn't want to see.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I wasn't really paying attention. I just seen him go. I think Kelsey even said, she's like, somebody just went down the hallway, and I was like, oh, and I was looking at the bench, and I'm like, they went through, and I was like, oh, it's Moyle. Like, that's a guy that's playing. He's played center. He moved to the wing recently with the Kalan addition, so that's a big piece. He's been a key player since he's came in, so hopefully he's back sooner than later. Again, though, I wouldn't rush guys back right now. Let's get guys healthy for in a couple weeks, not for Friday or Saturday. When this comes out, it'll be tomorrow. But it's just more like I would err on the side of caution. I know you're going to play 2 huge games. I know you want to get home ice and you want to win as many games as you can. But at the same time, like when the injury bug comes around and it just kind of lingers like it's been doing, sometimes it's better to just maybe hold a guy out a little longer just for precaution.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, especially when they're already in the dance. Like, they want home ice, obviously, but at the same time, you're already in. Like, don't risk injury or further injury, for sure. That's all the news and updates around the lineup. Let's talk about these games that occurred over this past weekend, because they had a nice 3-3 at home, which kept Travis real busy with tons of post-game content. If you haven't seen any of the post-game interviews from this weekend, head over to our social pages and you can find them all there. Some good ones in there as well. I will say that it's always fun to get some new faces into those interviews as well, which is a really exciting thing for us. Let's talk about Friday's game. You got Wheeling in town, and it wouldn't be a home game without overtime.
I forget the number. It's an insane amount of overtime games, and we joke, like when I go down for post game now, like I even joked with the guys like that when we're waiting for the end of the game, and it's like they're like, you got to do something, because every time I see you we go to overtime. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm sorry. It has become too much of a trend, but like we've joked downstairs, hopefully we're getting this all out of the way now before April.
Yeah, say if it's a U curse, like that's gonna be a problem come playoff time. We might have to trade positions for a couple months. I might have to come down to Toledo, and you might have to come to Grand Rapids. I don't think your wife would love that, but at the same time, we gotta do what we gotta do for the team.
Yeah, the amount of overtime is just getting crazy, and this was a really fun game. It felt like a playoff game.
Yeah, from what it looked like, obviously I didn't get to watch many of these games, but I was able to look at the highlights and catch bits and pieces of it throughout the night, and it did look like a playoff atmosphere. It looked like the arena was rocking, and in a game against Wheeling, like, it's kind of what you expect, right? The crowd always kind of gets going in these games. I remember the playoff series last year and me just going, what the heck are we doing here? Like, this is insane. But nice tight game like that, and it's good to come out with a point at least in this, but it does suck to have it be a loss in overtime. You had Ambrosio and Craggs with goals in this game, though. Good to see Ambrosio continue to produce already. Like, the impact he's making on this team has been substantial since his arrival.
Yeah, he's making a hard case to keep around here come, playoff roster time. And when the puck's going in, just keep shooting. And this was like a redirection, but still, I mean, he just seems to find the back of the net. It seems almost every night. And it's there's really nothing else to say other than the kid's just hot. Like, it kind of reminds you of how Ness was when he got hot there right away. Be interesting to see if Ambrosio can kind of keep this going. Seems like he talked about having some chemistry with Cruz from when they were at BC together for a little while. I believe it was BC. And that seems to really just kind of like rekindled. And then you throw Craggs in there, who seemingly can almost play with anybody. So, and him and Cruz have played together for basically 2 years now. So that really helps. Additions are just, continuing to produce, and almost had another one produce in this game with Moulton's shot from the half wall. Puck went around and he shot and it went in, and it got called back for goaltender interference.
Let's talk about this.
There was a lot of mad people.
What is goalie interference? Does anybody know?
I don't think anybody knows. But here's the thing, though. I understand why this was called back, and people might think I'm crazy, and people can be mad at me, but I can understand why they made the call they made. There were 2 reviews in this game. And
they aren't quick reviews in the ECHL. Let's be real.
And I got both wrong. So clearly, like, initially, like, I was like, oh, that one, I don't know. But, like, so let's talk about, like you said. So Keenan's standing outside of the crease. He's off to what would be his right side. But Gauthier a backwards goaltender. So he catches with his right hand and his stick's in his left hand. And he was on the left side of his crease, and Keenan was outside of the crease, but his stick was like underneath Keenan's arm. And it looked like Keenan had like put his arm over the stick, but I don't know if he like squeezed it or if he didn't squeeze it. Either way, if you're holding a stick and you try to push to your right and slide and you can't move because the stick is lodged in somebody's arm, I can understand why you would call it that way, because he couldn't get over. Now, and this is where it kind of goes back to where, okay, can we make the goalies like play a little bit? And this is like, if Ace hears this, he's probably gonna yell at me, but like, he's outside of the crease. Like, I can understand it. Like,
yeah,
I can see where Keenan and everybody on the team would be like, oh my God, that's a goal. Like, I did nothing wrong. But again, if he doesn't, like, if he would have just lifted his arm, it's probably a goal, because at that point you're out of his way. But at the same time, things happen so fast, you're not thinking like that. And that would have gave Toledo the lead in the third period.
Oh, you hate to see that.
I'm pretty sure. Or it would have tied the game. One of the two. Either way, they would have ended up having the lead at the end of the game.
Correct.
So it was a big call, and it went against them. And the other one with Wheeling was a weird one too. Like, he went, I don't even want to go into it anymore. Goaltender interference is just.
Nobody knows what it is, and I don't think there's anybody more angry about it right now than Patrick Waugh. Anyways.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on from that. Any other final just thoughts from this game before we move on to Saturday night? Just like, obviously Wheeling comes to town, former division opponent. You take a point. Not the best night. Not the best way to kick off a home stand 3-3. But you kind of just write it off and move on to the next game, right?
I mean, I didn't think they played horrible. I thought they played a decent game. Here's the thing. Wheeling's a good team. Like,
They're a really good team.
So it's, again, like, that's last year that was a playoff matchup. So it felt like a playoff game. You're not going to win every playoff game. Like, nobody's done it in probably since the original 6 era. Like, it's just not going to happen. And it's a tight game. Honestly, it was one of the more fun games for me to watch. I like real tight games. Everybody loved Saturday night, which we can roll into here, but as a whole, I thought it was just a fun game to watch. You just hate to see them lose in overtime.
Yeah, I do hate that. But we will roll into Saturday night's game, and I want to pull something up on the screen for the YouTube viewers here, because I think you, Travis, might have described this game on Twitter the best way possible with the perfect tweet of the night with Country Roads, take 'em home. Because that's exactly what the Walleye did. This tweet won. Just a great tweet. The Walleye admin also agreed with that and said W tweet with that one. But This whole interaction just cracked me up watching Gylander wave at him after he touches him. Like, what an idiot, first of all. Don't bump into the goalie. Like, you're dumb. You're absolutely dumb if you think you're going to get away with that with the ref staring right at you. But Carter just getting right back at him going, bye-bye. This game was fun, wasn't it?
Well, it was nuts. The second period was nuts. But to go back to the whole, like, the tweet, like, I seen what Gyro said. And then, like, I didn't see anything because the game was pretty much over as I was, like, standing there. And I was, like, on our Twitter, like, trying to catch up because I had gone downstairs and they'd scored again. So I'm trying to get caught up. And I sent that tweet out, and Maddie turned around and just started laughing. I was just like, I'm like, what? She's like, your tweet. And I was like, I'm sorry, I had to. She's like, no, it's so great.
It was perfect. But like you said, this was a wild game. And again, for the YouTube viewers, we can show this here. It was a wild second period. Like, what happened, Travis? Like, walk me through this, because there's 62 penalty minutes within this period, I think you told me?
I think it was like 62 or 64, and there was 94 for the game. And, you know, it was just crazy. So we'll start at the top here. So, what is it, Timken?
Yep.
Timken and Pilon. So you could see this coming, because this is right after the huge Jalen hit that sprung Bliss free, who scored on the breakaway, because Wheeling quit playing hockey. Like, they just stopped. Smerrick smoked this dude. You seen him line? I could
beautiful
see him,
hip check.
Oh yeah, I could see him starting to turn because it happened right in front of me, because it was in the second period. It was like right just inside the blue line. You could see Smerrick start to turn towards him. I just was like, that's not, you better get your head up. And dude went flying. And I was kind of initially, with how he like spun in midair, like he kind of just turned. I was worried they were going to call him for kneeing. Thankfully, they got the call right. And then like two guys just kind of skated in, and the defenseman just quit skating. So all of a sudden, like, Bliss rimmed it around, and somebody picked it up, and Bliss just started skating. I didn't even know Bliss scored. I'm watching the dude try to get off the ice because he's in pain. So I didn't even know how Bliss scored. And then I seen it was a breakaway. But then immediately after that, the face-off happens. Pilon goes out, and I think Bliss was out there and Hawkins were out there. And I was like, well, this is about to get settled really quick. So they gave him 5 for fighting, and then the 10-minute misconducts for fighting prior to the puck drop, because they had already determined that was going to happen. And it was one of them deals to where, like, the puck dropped and it went in the corner, and all of a sudden Pilon just launches the glove. Like, they just, like, it was a show. Like, you know, it was like, okay. And then it just then they went after Hawk. Kusiera went after Hawk. Hawk basically yaks him in the feet, basically. So they got him for that. And then the cross-checking happens, the cross-checking penalty. And then Cruz is like skating and starts smacking his stick. So then they gave him 2 for unsportsmanlike. And then there was another 10-minute misconduct, which you can see with, was it Wow or whatever. Yep. I don't know why Smerrick got a 10-minute misconduct. I didn't see that.
It says for inciting, which is what Wow got too.
Right. So I'm guessing it's something to do with the ref or something. I don't know. I'll have to ask. And so then Sawyer takes a regular penalty, and then a few seconds later, Pietola puts it over the glass. So now we were already short-handed. This is at the end of the second period. So we were 5-on-3, and then we took another penalty. So the third penalty could not start until the first one ended. So, like, the ref is standing outside of the box, right? And Cruz's time was about to expire. And the ref's, like, got his hand on the glass. Like, do not come out of the box. Like, you cannot come out. And they're, like, trying to open the door. So we were short-handed for, like, 3.5 minutes, and they killed it. And then
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and then the floodgates open in the third period. And then I want to point out, too, the Cruz goal, like, just an amazing individual effort to stick with it, right? To keep the puck in at the blue line and shimmy around a couple guys and make a great shot. That was huge. I think another piece that really stood out to me is Bliss looked really healthy. Like probably, and
Yeah.
Kels said that's probably the healthiest he's looked in a while. So hopefully he's got, the bumps and bruises behind him, knock on wood. And then Gallant gets his first. So it was rock the rink and the rink was rocking. That's really all there is to say.
That's, I won't complain about action like that, especially in the ECHL. Like, we went straight back to the 80s here, and it looked like a good old time. It looked like a game I would have been dying to be at. And again, just for the YouTube viewers here, I'll throw it up there. You've got to have the Smerrick hit, right? And it's just boom. Just beautifully lined up.
Does it go to the goal? So Bliss just rung it around the boards.
Yep.
And look, nobody's skating here. Everybody just stood still. Like, what are they doing?
I think they thought play stopped after this hit.
I think they were expecting like a tripping penalty or something. And it just, all of a sudden, here they go the other way and Bliss is gone. Like, you're not going to catch him with us. And he makes a great move. Like,
that's a beautiful move.
Yeah. And it was nuts. The place went nuts. It kind of felt like the days of the shithole.
You mean the sports arena?
Pardon my French, but it's just what it was known as. So
yeah,
it was a fun night, and boys were rowdy post game.
Oh, I'm sure they were. And another cool moment in this game, Gallant gets his first as a fish, right? Nice goal by him here as well, and congrats to him on his first in Toledo.
Great pass by Keenan across the crease right there. That was a great pass.
A beautiful pass. I mean, just the vision right there and the thought to get that pass off, especially after you just got took down in front of the net too. Like, get right back up, get the puck, and get it over to him.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Great play.
Yeah, you could see they just had it clicking that night. And once they've kind of struggled at points this year to get that next goal, like to get that 1-goal lead. And then they'd get the lead and maybe they'd give it up, or it just would end at a 1-goal win. And to see them kind of stack a couple goals were huge. And yeah, I know they didn't do that on Sunday, but again, that was just a different game too.
Then Ambrosio gets another goal that night as well.
That was another nice play, like a little high bumper play, and he made a great shot.
Yeah, I got the play right here again for the YouTube viewers, but one great shot right there. The Selly, even better. Even better, man. Oh.
Yeah, that was something else, man. He's a really nice guy. I got to introduce myself to him on Friday. So he was fun to talk to, and just again glad to see he's stepped into the lineup and just it's been a seamless transition for him.
Yeah, and talk about just a bounce back for the team overall, right? An overtime loss the night before in a game that you didn't play that bad, and you come back and win 6-2 against the same team. Like, one, to have a wild game like that, stay on message and go out there and do your thing on top of all that, and for the penalty kill to kill off that penalty. Like, that right there, that could have been a complete momentum swing in this entire game in Wheeling's favor.
Easily.
And they did a great job keeping momentum on their side, and like you said, the third period, the floodgates open, and that's the end result. Rock the rink. The jerseys looked sweet. I know you're mad about the supplemented logos in the shoulders. Get over it, Travis. The number kit looked really good on that jersey.
Outside of the 7s.
The 7s didn't look good?
They looked like question marks without the dots. And I guess they were giving it to Sammy. Somebody said, we said to Sam, like, prior to the game, like, question mark, huh? Might have been Bliss that told me that.
That's
and then Ambrosio wears 77, so he's double question marks.
Nice. Either way, the jerseys looked great, and one of them in auction went for a crazy price. You said you had Pietola with the golden ticket, but Blisser went for how much?
$3,250.
Good Lord.
It was quite I made it upstairs for that part of the auction, and I'm watching it, and it's just like, so like initially I'm like, okay, Hawkins is getting the golden ticket, blah blah blah. It seems to be the norm, and then they said Pietola, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. He scored the game-winning goal in his, or No, he scored the game-winning goal the next night. I'm getting ahead of myself here. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Somebody different's getting the golden ticket. So then, like, you're like, how much is Hawkins going to go for? And it was like 16 or 17. Then Bliss gets up there, and all of a sudden it's 32-5. And I was just like, what?
Insane. Between the Beer City jerseys in Grand Rapids and those, a lot of money was spent on jerseys on Saturday night between Toledo and Grand Rapids.
Well, you guys had the biggest, like, auction in probably forever.
It's the biggest one I can remember. I mean, I know the gridiron ones went for quite a bit, but I don't remember seeing one past the $2,000 mark, especially one that was not even game worn. It was game issued. Like, that's crazy. I think Elmer's was 1,800. Waddy's was like 24 or 2,500, which is insane. Neither of those were worn that night. Danny's went for like 1,600 or 18. I don't remember specifically. And I know Shine, who also wasn't there playing that night, his went for like 15 or 14.
And then
which
Toledo
is
said,
insane.
hold my beer.
Yeah, and then Trenton Bliss is the most popular player between the two teams now. Tell that to Hawk, all right?
Come after you.
I always welcome it. Come on, let's go. He threw a puck at me. I'm still mad at him.
He'll tell you to get over it.
He will, too. Anyways, before we move into Sunday's game, let's hit a quick ad break. When we come back, we'll recap Sunday's game, give you an update on the ECHL Central Division standings and where everybody's falling right now and who's going to take that fourth playoff spot in the division, and of course, a preview of this weekend between Toledo and Florida.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. A game's left for you to get in the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And welcome back. All right, let's talk about Sunday's game. Again, obviously still at home with this home 3-3, and Bloomington comes to town, a team that's currently kind of fighting for their lives to keep that fourth spot in the division locked down, and a tough test for them to come into the Huntington Center under pressure like that. And it, again, wouldn't be a game at the Huntington Center without overtime. Twice this weekend. Really, Travis? Maybe it is you. I'm starting to wonder because they don't go into overtime that much on the road, and you're not there.
So, funny thing about this game is I texted Brady on Saturday and said, hey, I'm wearing a jersey tonight to crack this overtime thing. And I didn't, and they won in regulation. So I was like, okay. I didn't wear a jersey. And then, or maybe I told him I was wearing it today or something. I don't know. Either way, I texted him at one point. It didn't happen. So then I wore the hoodie on Sunday, and I was like, I'm going to wear a hoodie, lazy day, right? Something different.
Yeah.
Quarter zip gets old after a while.
Yeah.
So I wear that, and I'm standing down there after the game's over, and I realize that I've worn it to 3 games. The first one was with you. They won that game. I wore it to a previous Sunday game, and they won this game. So then I said that to Brady, and he said I can't wash it.
Please wash it.
I was like, dude, superstitious. Like, come on.
You think your wife will beg to differ on that?
Yeah.
Like, please wash it.
It just was funny. Like,
that's, I mean, I get superstitious around this time of year when it comes to hockey. Don't worry, but I'm washing my hoodie. Like,
yeah, it just was.
Sometimes these arenas you don't think they get warm. Downstairs, they can get warm.
Downstairs in the hallway where I wait, it's cold.
Oh, I was dying of it the other night. Anyways, back to the game here. Like we alluded to, it does go to overtime, but the Walleye walk out of this one with a 4-3 overtime win. And this one was a cool moment because Grabko gets his first start as a Walleye after just being signed this past week, which we kind of didn't know. Like, were we going to see Gylander all 3 games? Were we going to see him get a game? And he gets a game. And Travis, just how would you evaluate his performance in the game overall?
Well, coming from college and I believe when I was talking to him that he was with a team that was independent up in Alaska. So you don't really know what to expect, right? Like, and then you see, like, of course, like you see we sign a guy, so you go to look at his numbers, right? See what you're working with, and you see how the game went for him in Idaho, and you kind of like, ooh, was it just a bad night for Idaho? Like, did he just have an off night? Was he nervous? Like, I don't know. Doesn't matter. He's here. Let's give this kid a shot. So, and I'm not going to judge it based off that. I mean, it's not fair to him. It's not fair to the team. I mean, like, and Pat had him before, I'm pretty sure, because he was with Green Bay at some point. So there's some familiarity there. And he comes in, and I felt horrible because they went down 2-0. And I was like, oh, man, like, this poor kid. I feel so bad for him. And then they get back in the game with Sam scoring 2 identical goals. And he made a couple huge saves in the first period to keep it tied or to keep it close at that point. And it was just like, okay. And then there was at one point to where, like, I don't know, he looked like Hasek. Like, the puck went, like, underneath him. And next thing you know, he goes from, like, knelt down to snow angel and, like, on his back. And I'm like, where's the puck? Where's the puck? And it stayed out. And it seemed like as the game went on, he settled in a little bit better. I didn't really ask him about that. I just was more excited to talk to him about getting his first win. And I thought he played really well, given that it's a new team. He was in Alaska for this season, so that's a huge travel change, lifestyle change.
That's huge.
You know, there's a lot going on there, and it was fun to watch him go out there and give it his all, and he gets a win. So what's better than that? I mean, I'm just so happy for him. He was super nice to talk to. It's funny, he came out and he's like, so what kind of questions are these? I was like, it's really simple. I'm not going to kill you. Like, we got to talk to you. You won your first pro game. Like, how cool.
Right. Yeah, it's super cool for him, man. And I'm happy that all worked out that way because, you know, some folks looked at those numbers and went, uh-oh, and comes in and gets a win. Like, you can't base everything off the numbers. You got to see him in action. And I'm glad he was able to put up a nice dub there. So good for him. Congrats to him. Let's talk about these Craigs goals, though. You say 2 identical goals, and I have the first one queued up here. And just kind of walk me through what I'm seeing here. Just a nice tip in front of the net.
Yeah, point shot, redirected. And like you say, like a Lou from the point with a redirection. This was a high tip, as Pat said. So up in the air with a redirection. And it's just net front presence. And Sam's kind of become that guy lately. He's kind of been the guy in front, screening on occasion. But, well, tonight it was all night. So it's just one of those, it was all night. And it just kind of shows like he's a bigger body. And when you get to the front of the net, good things happen. And he's got some hand-eye, which is good to see when you're the net front guy to get your stick on the puck. Any chance is a good chance when you're in front of the net. So, and he's not the only one, right? Like Ambrosio had one the other night. Just seems like that's become a trend. Getting to the front of the net with shots from the point, getting through was become a thing. So I was excited for that. And do you have the second one?
I do have the second one here queued up and ready to go. So I want to see how identical these really are. Yeah. Okay. I see. Gotcha.
Same, like, if you look right here, you see Sam smile. Oh, it didn't go that far.
Oh.
Right there. So he's smiling. You could almost, I wonder if what went through his head was, man, that was the same play. Like,
it might have. It might have.
You know, it was just, this one's along the ice and redirected in between the pads and tied the game. And that was huge. And I was like, man, he's got 2. Like, Sam's on Hattie watch in the first period. So cool to see him.
I mean, even you saw the Walleye admin go, I'm getting deja vu here, Sam. Like,
it was literally the same play, just not in the air. It was on the ice the second time. So that was pretty cool for him. He's a good talk.
He is.
Yeah, we had a good laugh. We were talking about the monitor, and he's like, well, last year it was like down here. So it was like, we need to put it up here. So then you're looking into the camera, not like looking down. So it's like,
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So because I said to Sam, I was like, I was in Walmart today. I was like, I seen like a 60-inch TV. I almost just put on my credit card just so we can all watch the game at the end of the game down here.
Well, because you keep watching overtime down there, eh? Jeez.
Yeah, needed it tonight too.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the Smerrick goal. Because this goal was up, it was reviewed, which seemed to be the storyline of the weekend. But did this goal stand?
This one did, and yeah, just shot, goalpost, and look, the ref's already saying no. As soon as he picked up that's why I don't even think he celebrated, because he's seen the ref saying no goal, and there's a lot of traffic in front. I was surprised it counted myself, but Pat said that from what he had seen in the one little snippet, they had thought that their guy was pushed in, and they thought they had a decent chance, and it turned out that he was right. So I was I think half the building was surprised they called that one a goal, to be honest.
Hey, we don't ask how, we just take them when we get them, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those deals, right? Like, I don't know. Goaltender interference continues to be the biggest mystery in hockey.
Nobody knows what it is. And then, as you already alluded to early, you're getting ahead of yourself here. Pietila, game-winning goal in this one here. And let's talk about this, because beautiful, beautiful shot by him.
Yeah, he got left alone. Like, bad change. Clearly, you could see a guy coming back late from a bad change, and great passing, great vision by Lou to see that he was wide open. Makes a great shot, low side, far. Again, like, I don't want to beat this to death, but you see guys, like, a lot of times in hockey, guys get that open. They're like, pick the corner, pick the corner, pick the corner, and all of a sudden you hear it hit the glass. So it's like, and the one night Pat was like, shoot low. I told you to shoot low all night, or I've been saying it all night. He was joking with me in the post game, and like, he shot one low and it went in. Now this wasn't that night, but still, it's just like, again, you got to try to make the goalie make the save, and he didn't make the save. Credit to that goaltender, though. I don't know if you've seen the kit that he was wearing, all brown.
Yeah.
All brown, but the mask was like the old school 80s, like, Miracle on Ice design, just spray painted on the helmet, like painted on the helmet.
Who started in that game?
The guy from the Marlies?
Yep.
Is that who it was?
Yeah, so that was Casimir Kaskisuo. I'm sorry if I butcher that name, but if you followed him long enough, he's played with the Marlies organization. He's played with a bunch of different organizations. He has a YouTube channel where he records his day in the life with these teams that he's with and everything, and how he trains to be a goalie. He does like goalie coaching on the side too. Super cool dude. I've watched his videos for a while now, and I was wondering if we'd get to face off with him, and you brought up his kit, and I'm like, he would be the guy to have that kit. Like, he's a big equipment dude, but that did look sharp. Even with the Bloomington colors, it looked sharp.
I like their red too. Like, I don't
That
know
red jersey's nice.
Well, I don't know if it's the black that makes the red look like it's not like a bright red, but also not a really super dark red. It looked sharp.
Also, speaking of jerseys, the Fins and Feathers jerseys they were wearing that night
Home
looked
run.
beautiful.
Home run.
Home run.
No pun intended. Home run.
Well done. That's such a cool mashup. I wish the wings. Jeez. I wish the Griffins and the Whitecaps could do something like that. I could think of some cool designs.
That would be fun. I think they could pull that off too.
They did a gridiron one. Why can't we do the baseball mashup? Come on. Give it to me, Grand Rapids. Let's go.
I don't know. They were really nice, and it was so cool. There's like, the left side was all Mud Hens, red, their color, like the Mud Hens logo and the red numbers, and the right side, it might have been vice versa either way. One side was
either
red
way.
numbers. One side was
Looked
red
good.
numbers, one side was blue, and then the middle was yellow. So that was it. 3 different numbers is not common, but
3 different colors.
yeah.
3 different numbers on a jersey is not common either, but
Well, 3 different numbers. I'm sorry. Brain fart. Yeah.
no, it's all good. So, to wrap up the weekend, 5 of 6 points. Right. Yeah, 5 of 6 points.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
No, huge. I mean, they got to keep stacking points if they want to get into clinching the division and the conference. They need every point they can get.
Yeah. 3 stars of the weekend? Who you got?
I got Louis 1. This is a crazy stat. They played 3 games. He had 1 goal and 8 assists.
He had 8 assists this weekend.
He had 8 assists in 3 games.
He had a 9-point weekend.
Yeah.
Lou,
He's on fire.
well done, my man.
Yeah, he's on
That's
the roll.
a freaking automatic first star. Jeez, no one's touching that.
And I mean, the second and third, you could pretty much have them as a tie for second, or you flip-flop them. It doesn't matter because they're not going to win either game without either of them. But Trenton Bliss had a goal and 3 assists this weekend, and Sammy had 3 goals. So, I mean, it was just a good weekend, 5 of 6. And anytime you can beat a good team like Wheeling and get 3 out of 4 against them, that's huge. And you get 2 points on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Good weekend for the Walleye. I'm happy with those results, especially after watching 2 losses in Grand Rapids. It's always sometimes where we get these polar opposite episodes where I'm talking about a disappointing weekend on one side and an extremely good weekend on the other. And I'm always happy there's at least some sort of balance there when it comes to recording this show, because if both teams were in a rut constantly, oh God, it'd be a miserable experience to record and edit these shows. So good job to the Walleye. Man, Louie, I'm still stuck on that. 9-point weekend. Insane.
8 assist weekend. That's nuts.
Congrats, dude. That's sick. Got to get him on the show here at some point in time soon.
I know.
Definitely would like to.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the division, where it's sitting right now. We're going to throw the standings on screen here for everybody watching on YouTube to be able to see and understand what we're talking about here. So obviously the Walleye have clinched. We talked about that last week here, sitting at 91 points in the first place spot in the Central Division. Fort Wayne behind them at 80 points. Iowa behind them at 76. And then this is where it gets fun. Bloomington still holding down 4th as of right now with 62 points. Indy behind them with a game in hand at 62 points. Kalamazoo also with a game in hand on Bloomington at 61 points. And then Cincinnati at 58 points at the bottom. The math, like we talked about last time, is really not mathing in their favor. So it's kind of down to these 3, huh?
Yeah, you pretty much are at a 3-pony race. Like you said, Cincinnati's math's not good. They got an extra game played on Kalamazoo and Indy, and they've got way less points. So, or at least 3. So, that I think they're kind of out of it. Looking at it, you look at Kalamazoo, Indy, and Bloomington, and kind of circle that. Separated by 1 point, Indy and Kalamazoo have a game in hand on Bloomington, and boy, is this gonna! I think this comes down to the last weekend.
The 4th place spot?
Yeah. It's just kind of trending that way. And to be honest with you, I don't really know who's going to come away with this, because it's tough to determine when there's 3 teams involved.
It's going to be fun to watch, man. It's just going to continue to be fun to watch. Again, if you're not watching ECHL hockey and you're just tuning in for the first time to a Toledo show and you're wondering what we're talking about, this stuff's good, man. These games are going to matter. These teams are going to be playing meaningful games the rest of the season into the playoffs, and obviously meaningful games in the playoffs. So every game you're getting playoff intensity. Like, I would argue that was one of Bloomington's best games against the Walleye.
They've played a lot of close games this year. Just the one wasn't very close.
One was not close. The first one?
Yeah. No, I think it was, didn't they beat Bloomington the night they wore the Christmas vacation jerseys?
I don't know. I didn't get to go to that one.
I think it was, I think that was who they played that night, and that was a blowout. But I don't know somebody's got to grab this and just go. Like, we've talked about, I joked last time about the how this is played out and how we have 3 teams that it's very similar to the NHL, and Detroit, Ottawa, and Buffalo is like that Bermuda Triangle of mid.
Yeah.
And Ottawa's kind of pulled away. So maybe one of these 3 can pull themselves out of this Bermuda Triangle we've got now in the Central Division.
And see, I scrolled to the right there too. So I was like, past 10 games, like what does each of these teams look like? And it's almost freaking identical all the way down. I mean, Kalamazoo's got that 5-2, 2-1 record. Indy, 5-4, 0-1. Bloomington, 5-4, 1-0. Like, this is getting stupid.
Nobody wants to win. Nobody wants to make the playoff. And I'm looking at it right now, if there's any head-to-heads down the stretch, and oh boy, This is going to be a fun ride. So the last week going into the end of the season, Indy plays Bloomington on Wednesday, Kalamazoo back to back, and then they finish at Toledo. So Indy, there's a what? Possibly a 12-point swing potentially.
Ooh.
Basically,
Ooh.
if you look at that.
Yeah.
If you win every one of those.
Their magic number right now is 20.
Yeah, this is.
But so is Bloomington's. So, like,
and
I don't know. It's going to be fun.
Listen to this. Bloomington has. Oh, geez. So in April, they play Toledo on the 4th, Kalamazoo the 5th, Kalamazoo the 6th. And then they play Indy that Wednesday. Holy criminy.
The ECHL schedule writers were cooking and they didn't even realize it.
Yeah, and then
they had no clue.
Kalamazoo might have it worse, to be honest. Bloomington. The next weekend they play Indy, and then end with Iowa. So they got 4 games. So they got 4 games against these teams. This is going to be literally last weekend. You could be looking at the last day of the regular season when Indy comes to town, and it could be.
We could be deciding our playoff opponent first round.
Right. You technically could be, which is crazy.
Interesting. Would love to know the strategy behind it if it comes down to that. What does Pat want? You know?
Do guys get some rest?
Yeah, that's you'll probably see some guys get rest. Let's be real.
Well, last year, I don't think Hawk played the last game of the year, regular season.
I don't think so either. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Every week we're going to be updating you on this point, because how do we not? Like, if we were a hockey podcast covering a team in the ECHL, not in this division, not talking about this, we'd be crazy. So prepare for more updates in the future on this. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to take that 4th spot in the division there and be Toledo's first opponent in the playoffs. Who do you want to see? Who do you think it's going to be? Let us know. But let's move on from that, and let's talk about the obvious, right? This coming weekend, I'm sure it's a date that a lot of these players and a lot of the fans have had circled on the calendar. I know you have, since you saw that schedule come out. Down to Florida to take on the current back-to-back-to-back ECHL champions and the ones that knocked us out of the finals a couple of years ago.
I think I looked the other day. There's 2 players from that team still on this team. Hawkins and Keenan, I think, are the only 2 that were on that playoff roster. So you got 2 guys with unfinished business, and then you've got everybody else plus those 2 that have an opportunity to go against the team, right? This
is the team.
Like, you want to be the Kings, you got to beat the Kings, and this is the chance to go out there and show that you can beat the Kings. So, again, the cup's not being awarded this weekend, so no matter what happens, nobody freak out. I know everybody will freak out if it goes one way, and everybody will be ready to play in the parade if it goes the other way. So I'm just going to...
It's very true.
It's just... They'll probably both go to overtime. Each team will get 3 points, and that would be the most, like, poetic justice to this whole 2-game series.
No, we're going in and getting dubs. Regulation dubs, both games. Let's go.
I hope that happens. I mean,
this is the only 2 games they have this weekend, right? There's not a third game.
Nope.
Okay, thank God.
And I believe they're leaving on Wednesday. So I think is what I heard. So they'll get down there a couple days early and, get acclimated, get settled. Hopefully not a Idaho situation ever arises again. Not to bring back horrible memories, but I'm just glad they're going to get down there a little early, get situated, get settled, and just prepare, right? And, I mean, I think I even heard a couple guys say it, just, maybe even it might have been talking to Mark, like, look, it's a measuring stick weekend. Like, we know what they are, then they know what we are. And I'll tell you what, you can't ask for a bigger matchup at, 3 weeks before the playoffs? Like,
you really can't. So, for all of us, I need you to explain it to me, because we've obviously talked about what the result could be, right? But to the Griffins fans that tune into this that don't watch a lot of Toledo, the Griffins are off this weekend, and if you have Flow Sports, you can watch these two games. Why should they tune in?
Well, it's two perennial powerhouses of the ECHL. Like, they're kind of the gold standard for each conference. Like, Toledo's made the playoffs, this is 9 straight years. They've gotten, I think, to the West Finals at least 5 times, 2 Kelly Cup appearances. Florida's won the Kelly Cup the last 3 seasons. You look at, they've also won a couple other championships, I think, in years past before this. So it's just, you have Cam Johnson in net on their end, who's an unbelievable goaltender, should probably be in the American League at minimum. I mean, the guy's just unbelievable. If you look at some of his numbers over his career in the playoffs, in the regular season, he's just battle tested. He knows how to win. And it's just going to be a great matchup. You got Hawkins. I know, like, if you are a Griffins person, you don't know who that is. We say his name a lot. You got Craggs. I mean, he's on pace to be right about where he was at last year. I don't know their roster that thick. I pretty sure they have Colin Dyson. Remember from last year, who was really good for us and didn't make the playoff roster? It's just that was a head scratcher. I wish they would have brought him back. But again, to just kind of go back to it, it's one of those things to where you go and you get a chance to kind of just go and play and have a huge series against a great team. I mean, this is basically kind of like, I'm trying to think of East and West in the NHL of who to compare it to. Like, if you look at over a long stretch of work, like, I don't know, other than maybe like Florida or Tampa in the East going to play like Colorado in the West in a back-to-back 2 weeks before the playoffs start. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of, just without, we haven't
That's
won
what
a
I was
cup.
going to say.
Like, we haven't won a cup, but those are kind of like, 2 big powerhouses that have been powerhouses forever.
Yeah, I mean, even without a cup, Toledo's still a powerhouse, and they've been like that for a very long time.
And the Jersey matchup's unbelievable. Like, the Florida Everblades have some of the best uniforms in the entire league. So if you want to see some sweet stuff, they don't wear a white jersey. They have gray as their white. It's a gray. It's very similar to the Hurricanes reverse retro when they did the gray Whalers jersey. It's very similar to that, and it's got the alligator on it with the shark teeth and in the stripe. It's well done. I know when we played them in the finals, I walked up to somebody that was wearing them. I was like, I don't want you to win, but damn, you guys have great jerseys.
Travis always respects a good jersey. He always will. In your opinion, just to wrap this weekend up, this preview, what does Toledo need to do to come out of here with 2 wins?
Start fast. They can't afford to fall behind to this team. Like, you don't want to chase it against this team. You don't want to chase it against any good team. You really don't want to chase it ever. But I think if they can get a start, that is huge. I think if they could get a couple goals early in the game, kind of just get to Cam. Like, if they can get to the point to where it's like, okay, we can do this. Like, this isn't like Game 7 or anything, but it's just like, again, it's a huge matchup. But I think it goes back to having a good start. And you hope maybe Moyle's healthy enough to go. We don't know. Like, hopefully maybe they'll have a couple guys in the line. We know Beraldo's going to be coming in as long as, no setbacks or anything. So that's huge. You're going to have him, potentially Moyle back. That's going to help you out up front. Just play within themselves. Don't beat yourself. Play solid defense. Box out. Take advantage when they take penalties. That's probably the biggest thing. It feels like we're previewing a playoff series, but
it's a team that everyone's wanted to see us play for so long.
It is, and initially
and these out of division games are fun.
It is, and it's crazy because it was initially supposed to be the Solar Bears in Orlando. It wasn't even supposed to be Florida, and then with the schedule change, you now get Florida. So it's huge, and like you said, if Carter's got to play both games, he's going to have to outduel one of the best. So it'll give him some confidence if he outduels the best. So that's a big.
I just
piece
thought of something, and I don't know how realistic this possibility is. If the Griffs are off for a week, does Bantle get reassigned for the weekend?
I think that would have happened.
No, because they still play tomorrow.
I didn't think about this either. Okay, here you go. If you want to do that, you want to really get crazy? reassign Bantle and Hunter. Hunter will have his 5th game. and
That
6th
probably won't
game.
happen because I think you still have to maintain a roster minimum. But with the addition of Finney and getting Rafferty back, the Griffins will still have that minimum. They could send Bantle down there, and
So why would you send Bantle? Send Hunter to get him eligible just in case. That's what I would do.
I figured you'd want the 20-plus goal scorer back first, but
Well, I mean, I'll take either one, and I think, any of the guys would take either one. But
just a thought.
it's a
There's
good
nothing
thought.
concrete to that. Is it a question that I might ask when I'm in Van Andel Arena tomorrow to try to get some insight? You bet.
It's a
but-
very good question. I mean,
They don't play for a week.
you might
Hey,
as well.
Carson, go to Florida for the weekend, bud.
You're going to play 2 games, but go to Florida.
He's going to say no. Yeah,
Who's going to say no to Florida? Like, come on.
He's probably asking. Like, come on, just send me down for the weekend. Let me go play these games. Be back in the lineup down there. That would be fun.
It's a very interesting piece.
Again, I know nothing, but I just thought of it at the end here, and I'm like, I wonder if they would.
I bet it'd be fun to ask Waddy, like, if you were still in Toledo, who would you rather have for 1 game or 2 games? Would you rather have somebody that's been there and is already eligible, or would you rather send somebody there that could get eligible?
That might be an off-camera question for Waddy tomorrow. Definitely not one I'd put him on the spot on camera. I might get.
No, it's just like, like if we ever ran into him or something. Like,
Oh, that's like a question frame like that. I get what you're saying.
Not like,
But I'm going to ask. Like, you guys are off for a week, which is crazy.
that would
That
be.
we're off for a week this late in the season. But
I think that's going to help them too. But
it's going to be huge because it'll hopefully allow pieces from Detroit to come back. It'll allow some guys to rest up that definitely need to be resting up. I mean, come on. Lombardi's been skating around with a bubble on his face for the last 2 weeks. Like, some guys are banged up. They all are at this time of year. Every player on every team is banged up right now in some sort of way. A week of rest right before a big schedule heading into the playoffs, that's a huge advantage that Grand Rapids definitely needs to take advantage of. I hope it's not heavy practices every day. Obviously, don't lose your legs, but let the boys rest a little. Let them get back healed up, ready to roll. So, yeah, interesting tidbit there to end the episode on, unless you have anything else you wanted to add to this one specifically.
no, not at the moment. Detroit's down 2-1, so
Well, that's a disappointing way to end the episode. Thanks, Travis.
it's all right. The Walleye are going to win both games out there in Florida.
And the Griffins are going to win tomorrow. And this is going to end up in the episode. So when it posts on Thursday after the game and they lost, I just look like a big moron.
And we can both get slammed.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. As always, the Thursday episode of the show, or the second episode of the week, we can't always promise it's on a Thursday, is always focused on the Toledo Walleye. So if you're looking for Grand Rapids Griffins content, stay tuned for next week, either Monday or Tuesday. We'll have an update for you there, which will be a weird update. We'll only have 1 game to talk about. I'm assuming we're going to talk a lot of roster, a lot of playoff prep, and a lot of what the upcoming schedule looks like. Or hell, we might even take a day off. Who knows? I doubt it. But either way, we'll be back with more Griffins content soon, and of course, more Toledo Walleye content. Stay tuned to the social pages this weekend for all the updates of what happens down in Florida with the Walleye. I'm excited that I'm going to be able to sit down and watch these games with the Griffins being off, so I'll be able to be posting updates and coverage all game long. Wish we would have scheduled the live stream for it, but our schedules are not working for that right now, so that's out of the picture for the moment, but we'll be back to doing another one of those again, hopefully before the end of the regular season, and we will announce that on the social pages as well. So make sure you're following us all on all of those, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, all the stuff. We're on all of them. We post all the updates there. And if you haven't already and you've made it this far in the video, subscribe, please, and thank you. Like, that's how we know you like these episodes that we're doing. So hit the subscribe button. Leave us comments on what you thought, our opinions. Maybe we're way off kilter. Do you think Carson Bantle will get reassigned this weekend? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And to wrap up the episode, we've got to thank our sponsors, of course, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN. And when you're shopping with EverythingHockey.com, use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order. And it supports the show. And of course, without our Patreon subscribers, the show would not be possible. And we have a new one to welcome, Reagan Baker. Thank you for joining. We don't have a nickname for our patrons yet. We've got to come up with one. Let us know in the comments what you think it should be. Our patrons, let us know on Patreon what you think it should be. We've got to name the group. We can't just call them people. Got to think of something here. But Reagan, thank you for joining. We appreciate you. Of course, Claire Boughton, John in Florida, Elaine Grace, Griffin, Randy, Derek, Lori, Alan, and Michael, thank you all. If you want to join them, head over to patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast. Check out the tiers we have over there. Post unedited episodes, Patreon exclusive episodes where they might be about hockey, they might not be. They're uncensored and unfiltered, and the one we are just about to post this week was a good argument back and forth about a lot of roster things and some just true unfiltered thoughts on what we think of what's going on when it comes to the roster. Because if you can't sense my frustration as a Griffins fan with Detroit picking us apart at the end of the season, it's there. I'm frustrated. But definitely head over, like we said, patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast. Check out the tiers. We keep them as cheap as possible. That is all I have for this one. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. And as always, go Griffins, go Walleye. We'll talk to y'all again soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.